because,
Yeah.
topic.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It is, of course, the 1st of January, 2021, and this is episode 1.
First?
30th of January. Don't mind me today. I was looking at the 1 because one is for January.
January, yes.
So, it's the 30th.
Happy New Year, everybody!
Anyway, we're like episode 174. Yes, you can have the docket, Lightning, because you...
No docket from Lightning.
So we're going to talk about the new unearthed arcana, then Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition, it's been announced. Animal Adventures for 5e, there's a pre-order for it. Achtung Cthuluhu has a quick start guide, and then there's the 15th anniversary of Ticket to Ride Europe. It's an interesting set of topics to talk about today.
I'll give you a ticket to ride.
Mm-hmm. So why don't we start, of course, diving into this right away for our list of topics with some unearthed arcana. So, it came out this week of Gothic Lineage, which they did 2 things for Gothic Lineage. One thing, they changed the way they do racial traits. So I want to talk about that. And then, of course, they did give us 2 ones, the Hexblood and the Dampier. Oh, and the Reborn.
And the Reborn.
Yeah, can't forget the Reborn. Why don't we start with talking about the different races? So, like, Dampier's pretty standard. It's the vampire-blooded. It's shown up in 3rd edition. It's showed up in Pathfinder. Technically, I think it was 3.5 that they had a Dampier, I believe. I'd have to check. And spell it correctly.
My Dampier huggers for esoteric humors.
Yes. I think it was technically
the color of one's appearance.
Mm-hmm. It might have been a half vampire or something template. I think there was something in 3.5.
I mean, they have used Dampiers before. I know that. Or Dampier.
Well, they might have called it something different. Definitely they could have. I can't remember for sure. Dampier is too strong. Reborn doesn't need the recall memory. Hag blood needs level and limits tied to power. So let's see where the Dampier gets.
Too strong. Not strong. Strong.
Strong, yes. Dark Vision, Spider Climb.
And Vampiric Bite.
And the Vampiric Bite.
I don't think it's too overpowered, honestly.
The Spider Climb is very powerful, though. You have to consider that that's like equivalent to something like climbing. Like originally, you can climb. You get a climb speed equal your walking speed. Okay. At 3rd level, you can move up, down, across vertical surfaces upside down the ceilings while leaving your hands free. Meaning you can walk on the ceiling and fight while on a ceiling. The Fanged Bite, okay. The thing about that is, it's a bite. You do Constitution modifier to attack and damage with it. It does a D4 piercing on a hit. That's like,
And you can do it a number of times a day equal to your proficiency bonus.
Well, that's the thing is...
well, you can only empower yourself.
Well, we have the just bite isn't just bite you get.
Yeah.
Then, while you're at half or missing half or more of your hit points, you have an advantage with attack rolls with that bite.
Yes.
That's pretty powerful. It's only a D4, but you got that. And then, you can empower yourself with one of the following. And the Empower is not as much, but you still have a bite, which is based upon Constitution, which does a D4, and has advantage when you've lost some hit points. That's pretty powerful. D4 isn't a lot, but, you could do some interesting builds with that, definitely. And, the Empowering, where it's equal to your proficiency modifier, where you can regain hit points equal to damage dealt, or gain a bonus to the next attack roll. I mean, again, I feel like I kind of agree, just breaking it down, that it is a little powerful, if you compare it to other races, unfortunately. If I compare that ability to something like a Dragonborn, Yes, Dragonborn gets a breath weapon that goes up. but it gets it like once and needs to rest. You know, and I think it's the idea that you get advantage with that natural attack is very powerful. Like also,
Also, that's when you're below half hit points.
That's true, but you know, what would be the best way? Like, you know, freaking rogue Dampier. Yes, I'm at half hit points, but now I'm automatically, without any allies, I'm automatically guaranteed to sneak attack. There are some things about it that make me feel like it could be, it's pretty powerful. You know, that it just feels that way. Again, I guess you need to playtest it for yourself to see, to compare it.
It is playtest material, so
yeah,
it's not like it's a final product of, hey, this is something, you know, we're going to put in a book as is.
Yeah. Now, Hexblood, I gotta say this. Hexblood is basically a reskinned changeling from Pathfinder. I gotta be honest about it. I look at just the way that they talk about it and stuff, and I'm like, as soon as I saw Dampier, Reborn, Hexblood, I'm like, are they hanging out with Pathfinder a little bit much here? Like, granted, like, you know, again, 3.5 had something equivalent to this, and the term Dampier has been used in a lot of places for, like, you know, the half vampires.
The magic token ability is a little weird.
Yeah.
But it would work well, especially if you have a animal companion.
Yeah.
Because you could give your animal companion that token and then be like, hey, scout ahead. I can watch what you're doing.
But, I mean, like, for animal companions and familiars, sometimes you could just do that anyway. I don't know if you can do it in 5th edition. They could do that for other editions. I haven't really played around with animal companions and familiars in 5th edition as much. I'm on stream right now, kid. What's up? Oh, that's a very nice drawing. Uh-huh.
I mean, you can disguise yourself with hex magic. You have fey resistance.
Yeah, disguise self.
You get dark vision.
Yeah. I mean, they got some good things. It's like, I'm not saying that they can't. I do, again, like, there are things about it that I feel like, you know, probably the Hexblood isn't the best of them. Like, I look at that and it's interesting. I don't know if it's great or terrible. You know, that's the thing about it. I don't know if it's great or terrible. I feel like the magic token's better for, like, allies and stuff. You know, because it's like, with your 10 magic tokens, you can actually trance do it, but you can also, like, message, you know, if you longer you're 10 miles away. The
one thing that is interesting is, you know, they can be transformed into a hag.
That's very changeling. That's the honest about it. Like, it's, again, like, I had to say this about it. It's different because it's got, like, an entire coat of paint on, but it feels like, as someone that's played Pathfinder and has as run games with people playing changelings before, I'm like, Hexblood. This feels a lot like changeling, just by the nature of it and like how it kind of is connect tags. Like, again, the reskin I feel like is enough to be its own thing, but like, it's got that kind of same flavor.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying with becoming a hag, though, you become an NPC too, and no longer under the Hexblood player. Yeah. But you could, like a DM could use that and be like, "Hey, guess what? Your party member turns out to be the real big bad."
Yeah, and then of course Reborn, which is like an anti-death thing.
Well, Reborn is almost like what I am in Thursdays.
It kind of is, but it's a race because I feel like it's like
instead of being tied with a class, it's basically that way of a race.
Oh, I would describe, like, I think what Lightning is trying to say in chat here is it's kind of like, I would compare it to how not how normal Warforges are, but like you're like more like a living Warforge, but also it might be more like how you did things in Grinding Gears.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to compare it to. Because that's not the normal version of Warforged. That's the version that like you Warforged in fact that you did, which was actually was an interesting part of it. That was definitely an interesting part of it. So you get some advantages on saves. Disadvantage, like don't have to eat, drink, or breathe. You don't need to sleep. Magic can't put you to sleep, and you can gain a bonus D6. A number of times per day equal to your proficiency bonus, and then have to do
on skill checks or ability checks.
The recall power is too strong. Oh, the knowledge from past life. Yeah. It's like a bardic inspiration.
Inspiration, yeah.
Except you just get it on your own.
And it stays a D6.
Yeah. But I don't know. It still is like... For racial ability, again, if I compare a lot of races, it feels very powerful. And I agree that it seems like...
I might say maybe it should be a D4.
It could be tweaked with. I think it could be tweaked with. Because, like, again, like... the advantage, disadvantages, like, the deathless nature is very good on its own. Yeah. Not having to eat, drink, breathe, or sleep. Having advantage on death saves, advantages against disease and poisons, and resistance to poison damage. All of that is very strong. Yeah, and you're right.
The thing is, like the class, like my Thursday class version, you don't get that stuff until I think some of that stuff until like 3rd level.
Yeah.
So, to be able to start off right off the bat with advantage on death saves and everything, is a bit powerful.
Yeah. You get a lot of really good stuff as the race.
Yeah.
And then you have the knowledge from past life. Yeah.
And also, you can be a humanoid as well as a construct or undead.
Yeah, I think it depends on your origins or like their lineage.
Well, you're always still a humanoid, but you can also be considered construct or undead.
Yeah. So it's an
which you could be then, and then with one of the things that says you could be an undead then who can actually heal from regular healing because you're a humanoid.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the origins are kind of neat. You're magically resurrected, but something went wrong. Stitches bind your body's mismatched pieces. Your memories come from multiple different lives. That sounds like you're a flesh golem with memories. Yeah. There's clawing from your grave. Necromancer's undead service that you get your consciousness back. Abandon a laboratory along with clockwork origins.
Organs.
Yeah, organs. I'm sorry. Yeah. You were petrified and you've come back, but you're not quite the same. That's an interesting one for maybe like quite partially petrified or something.
Your body hosts a possessing spirit. It shares its memories.
Mm-hmm.
It replaces your appendages with phantasmal limbs.
That's kind of neat.
Or you're the scarecrow, but you look like a real boy.
Yeah. Oh, they're so weird, the reborn ones.
In public, you pass as unremarkable individual, but you can feel the itchy straw stuffing inside you. That would also be interesting if no one in your party knew what you were, and like you get cut, and it's like there's no blood. Is that straw poking out of the wound?
Yeah, the idea of also like changing how you would heal might be something like Lightning is saying in chat. Because they are either undead or construct. But they're technically supposed to also be humanoid. And I think the reason that they're also still humanoid is to allow that healing.
Yeah.
And that's really the only reason behind it. That you're sort of like in between life and death. So you can still heal through magic. I don't know. I feel like 5th edition tries not to limit you on healing. Like Pathfinder or older editions did for alternate type.
Yeah, like if you're undead, you're undead. You have to heal from negative energy.
Mm-hmm. They don't talk about that ever. And that's the thing. It's like, because I think like, yes, now there can be like, well, you can be both humanoid and undead, but you're also humanoid, so they treat it more like a humanoid. Now, they're all very interesting races. Again, I do agree. I feel like because of their also changes the way they're doing racial traits, these races feel a little powerful overall. I think like they feel like they're too much.
Yeah.
But then they're also changing the way they do racial traits, and I gotta be honest, I don't like it. Now, I've heard arguments for it, but they're basically taking certain things like ability score increases, languages, and traits that give skills, armor, and weapons and tool proficiencies, and kind of getting rid of those because they're saying that that's more cultural rather than your actual race. Now, the only thing I have to argue against is the ability score increase. That I don't like because we call it race, but it's really species. You know, that's really what it is they're supposed to be different species. And if we're comparing all the different species, they will have a physically different body. I think, like, the argument about, like, the gnome or, like, a kobold versus the giant Goliath. The Goliath is going to have extra strength naturally, you know? While if I put them all at 10s, and then I choose where to put it, I could have the kobold with a 12 strength to start out with, and a Goliath with just a natural, like, 8. That shouldn't be. Like, they should have that 2 extra in strength. There should be 10. The kobold should have its penalties. They shouldn't compare like that. You're making them too generic and effectively everything human. If I want to play Super Smart Dragonboard and get the bonus over, like, Charisma or Strength, I might allow it. I mean... Like, honestly, you could just put the
Goliath. The Goliath, you could be the runt.
But the thing is, you could put standard array. That's what standard array is for. You put an 8 in something. Put the 8 in your strength. Then you have 10. Then you're the runt of the Goliaths. You use your standard array to be that. Not your race. Not your species. That's what I kind of argue against. That's why you have a standard array. So I understand why you're like the bonus of int or charisma. Like the bonus to int over strength or charisma. I understand why people would allow it. But I feel like because of the nature of the way that you have a standard array, which is supposed to be your heroic character, these are your bonuses. And the fact is, if you're building an NPC, you can do whatever the heck you want with it, you know? It's that you're not supposed to have that same kind of, like, disabilities as a PC. Granted, I'll give you that language. Language is an easy one to say, like, if you grew up in a very unique circumstance, sure, I can understand language as being different. If you grew up in unique circumstances, I understand the skill, weapon, and armor proficiencies being different. But the thing is, I also understand that some of those being standard for your race and your upbringing. If I grew up with dwarfs, and dwarfs normally teach their children how to use battle axes and hammers, that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's their society. And their society is often tied to species. I always understood and accepted these things. I can understand if I want to alter them and make them unique to my version of dwarfs in a world, or my version of elves, or my version of this or that. If I say, like, but I feel like the idea that they have them is not something I'm against. Which, I don't like it because it's too generic-ing everything, I think is my argument for it.
Yeah, I mean, then your race is just a flavor, is just a skin.
Yeah, it's flavor. There isn't anything to it. It's the idea that I feel like the race that you have should be connected to both your physical traits and abilities, and also, like, your societal ones and how you grew up. Like, I'm not against DM changing that. What their society version would be.
Yeah. Or if you want to argue, well, I was adopted by elves and I'm a dwarf. Could I have the elven upbringing kind of thing instead of the dwarven stuff?
Yeah.
You know, then that might be worth considering as a DM, because then it's like, okay, well, you did grow up in a different culture, but I could still say your attributes are still going to be dwarf because
you're physically a dwarf.
You're physically a dwarf, but maybe your weapon proficiencies and stuff are the elven ones.
Yeah, again, like, that stuff I would be willing to work with a player for. You know, that's interesting things that I could be like, that's a good way of opening up racial traits. But again, like, it's one of these things that I feel like the term race for fantasy games a lot of times isn't a good one. Because it harkens back to, like, our own species. We refer to race as different peoples of different skin colors and stuff, or different origins in the world. It's species in D&D. You're a different species. Granted, elves and humans are the human race. I understand that's why they call it the human race. Yes. But, like, you don't call it, like, the cat race. Or the dog race. You know, we refer to the human race because we use that word for our race. You know, it's a term we use for us. You know?
Yeah. Because we're all the same species.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where, there's a dog is a different species, but if I come from, the United Kingdom and you come from Africa, we're different races, but we're still the same species. But if you're a dwarf and I'm an elf, we're different species.
Okay, so race is a group of people sharing the same culture, history, language, and ethnic group. Race is supposed to be ethnic. Now, the human race is, I think, refers to all of our ethnic groups together. Also, race could be used as a population within a species that is distinct in some way, such as a subspecies. It's like, you have to think of it this way, like, technically speaking, there are some species that are close together that are compatible. Granted, many of them end up sterile, some of them don't. I almost feel like, that's the way we have to look at, the different species. Like, elves and humans are compatible. Humans and orcs are compatible. But they don't really talk about the other combinations because they're technically not as compatible, I think.
Like an elf and a dwarf probably would have a sterile child.
Yeah.
If they could combine.
It's assuming that it's almost like, Neanderthals were different than Cro-Magnon man, or Homo sapien, what we are.
Homo erectus.
Yeah. Like, all of them are different, but they are related together. And, like, Neanderthal, theoretically bred with our ancestors. We have that DNA in us. We were still different groups. We were just closely related, and therefore compatible, because we were so closely related. But we were still different. We could physically look at us differently, And I think it's the same way with these, that there's, like, a common origin for a lot of these races, for these species, on your fantasy planet. And so there is some compatibility in there. And also there's magic. And magic does a lot of fucky stuff. So again, like, getting back to all that, I feel like they're making it too generic, is my big complaint here. Like, some of this idea is good. I think they took it too far for the changes to racial traits. It just feels like they took it too far. Like NPCs, monsters, it's not going to matter. Because those are built with whatever stats you want to build them on, technically. But...
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, though. I mean, then everything becomes just, okay, you look like an elf. Whoop-de-doo.
It's just, it's a generic flavor then. And I feel like that's why the races in this guide are so much. Like, if I look at these, Dampier, Reborn, Hexblood, they feel too powerful in a way. Right? I think it's because they genericked, or they're trying to generic everything out. They're trying to make them feel different. And
Yeah.
by doing that and comparing it, they're too powerful. You know, they made them to reflect their new idea of things, and so they are intrinsically better than all the other races, because all the other races had a lot of those racist traits that they got rid of now. So what's the point in playing those if I could play a more powerful Dhampir, or a more powerful Reborn, or a more powerful Hexblood? It's like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, in a way, you know? I just think that, like, I think that's the route they took accidentally, you know? They wanted a certain something, and they built these 3 races as they are around their idea of they wanted to keep them, in quotation, equivalent, or at least they want you to play them. Because honestly speaking, like, if I look at the player's handbook and remove everything like some of these races get that are not all that stuff, like let's take a look at good old dwarf. Let's see here. Dark Vision, the Dwarven Resistance. And then a hill dwarf gets extra hit points. The mountain dwarf doesn't get anything. That's it. But if you're a mountain dwarf, then you have Dark Vision and Dwarven Resistance. That's it. Because everything else follows under their other racial traits that they got rid of now. Everything else. Stone cutting, I feel like that's like you understand stonework, because, hey, it's a societal thing. Tool proficiencies, your combat training. Like, the hill dwarfs have the toughness, which is bonus hit points, but the mountain dwarfs, they get armor proficiency. You know? And, like, Dark Vision and advantages on poison and resistance to poison damage. So, they're very little bits of the Dhampir, and everything else would be technically gotten rid of if you're comparing it now. What would you give a dwarf? I just, you know, it's just, it's an interesting concept, but they should have had it from the beginning. Also, I'm going to say. They're going back and doing something. They're retroacting something.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're kind of making a new edition.
Yeah. Is this 5.5 that they're working on? With new ways of doing race? It feels like that. And again, I just don't... I don't like that they're doing it that way. Like, again, like... You can... Yeah, I'll skip 5.5 as they are going woke. It really feels that way, that they're going that direction of making it like everybody's the same. And it's not supposed to be in this fantasy world. That's the thing, is it's not supposed to be like, I'm, you know, a European, or I'm from Africa, and then you can say like I'm you know, I'm a white person, or I'm, you know, Hispanic, or I'm you know, African in origin, or, you know, Asian in origin. You know, those things are the kind of ways that we define people, and that we are all humans. We have no physical differences between us, really. I mean, technically speaking, I think there are some very minute things dependent on, you know, our origins, but that's based on, you know, like, my pale skin does things differently, reacts differently to sunlight than other people's skin colors. You know, that's the kind of problems that we have. You know, I burn and flesh char a lot more than a very much more darker skinned person would. So, that's just, you know, stupid stuff like that is the differences between us. We call ourselves races. We're one species. We're all the same. When we talk about, you know, like, elves, okay, you know, you can compare, like, elves. Most of them have the standard traits. Some of them have some unique things, like high elves have a magic spell, wood elves have their own thing, drow have a different thing, but they're supposed to also have developed a lot more differently. It's almost like the European grey wolf, which I think is pretty much extinct, and like the wolves of North America. You know, technically speaking, they separated a long time ago. They're really similar. Like, you know, you look at, there's a lot of similar animals between Europe and North America because, you know, we were connected at one time. And we have very similar, like, things of animals, you know? There's a lot of similar ones. There's some different ones. But, like, you know, when we talk about some of the crap in here, there's, like, you know, European and American badgers and shit like that. I think there were... For some reason, I was looking up some stuff when we were doing stuff in Vampire for Berlin and stuff, and it was, like, looking at some of those animals, and like, huh, those are interesting. It's interesting that we have that comparison between the two of us. But they grew apart because they were separated apart. You know? And it could be the same for that. Or, like, you know, there are certain ones like Dragonborn, they're all pretty much the same, except they have slightly different color patterns. That gives them different elements. But they can interact all they want. They just end up one or the other when they have children. You know? They're all the same. It's like there's these unique little differences, you know, and of course, like humans in D&D. They're all the same. They really are. I don't know. I'm getting worked up about this, and it's not something... We haven't seen much on it. We haven't seen what this means for it. And right. I think that's going to be a little bit of what it's going to mean in the end. I feel it's a terrible idea the way they're doing it. They could fix it better, they might not. And of course, as I'm looking at this, I get to see, like, the Dampier hungers for cerebral spinal fluid. You're that monster from frickin' The Relic.
What was it? What? Esoteric humors?
Yeah. I don't know. I like the idea of the monster from The Relic because it was a giant, like, person that turned into a reptile monster and had to drink, like, spinal juices from, like, the, what was technically juices and stuff from the, my brain is just not working today a lot very well.
You also have the
lower
racist
brain. Oh, the racist one?
I colored one's appearance.
Wow. That is...
You have the racist Dampier.
Yes, you do. Well, I think it sounds bad, but I think what the idea is, rather than that you are going for specifically a color, you're draining the color from someone.
Right.
Yes.
But it just doesn't sound very
good. It does not sound well. I understand what they mean, but it doesn't sound well. You drink color. Uh-huh.
No, my palate will only drink of people with purple color.
Mm-hmm. I do like they have different origins, like you're a reincarnation of a vampire tyrant.
Oh god, wait. You drink color, so you're the freaking villain from Rainbow Bright, basically?
Yes.
You're a color vampire.
Or Lightning has Marceline from Adventure Time, too.
Mm-hmm. Never watched Adventure Time, so I wouldn't get.
Yes. I mean, the Dampier origins, they at least made them a little bit like, you loved an immortal, you were willing to transfer vampire to him, but your tragedy interrupted it, you just finished manifestation of an otherworldly being, you were raised by vampires or a monster, you don't know your origin, battle experiment changed you, parasite inhabits you, you were attacked by a vampire, and survived it, but changed, and you have a pact with a thing. I mean, they got rid of the standard, like, when a mommy and a vampire get together, they have a baby, and it's a Dampier. I mean, this is something that I do like. They have all these, like, weird origins that they're putting them standard in the Dampier. But I gotta be honest, both this and the Reborn, with their weird-as-hell origins, don't feel like they should be the same. I'm gonna say the same for the Hexblood. They really should be very different, and you're putting them all together under one label. So it is really standardizing these. You could come up with, like, each of these being really neat ideas. Some of them, like, I feel like things like the vampiric reincarnation, attacked by a vampire and survived, try to transform into a mother. Those three... You know, those are the kind of three that you'd have your standard Dampier under. But then you get to a couple other ones where, like, you know, packed with a predatory fiend. Well, that sounds something more like a warlock. Parasite inhabits you. That sounds like it could be its own thing. You know, diminished manifestation, a literal being could be more close to the predatory deity. Raised by vampires,
warlock.
Yeah, raised by vampires or monsters that you don't know your origin. That could be an interesting one. You have these vampire powers and you were raised by them, but you don't know where you came from. The radical experiment could also be that kind of way too. That could fit under multiples. There's a few of these that could be their own neat creatures that don't need to be Dampiers or Dampier subrace. I like subraces.
Yeah.
Yes, and like you could be something like what some of these things is like. You could be like, these are like kind of going off of all like human or stuff. And the race and stat stuff works for this race because you would pick from a race like Elf Dampier or use Elf race and Elf weapons, but Dampier stats.
Yeah. For these, it would make sense because you're both a Dampier and you have your base race.
I would like combining it that way. That would be kind of neat. Let you like get some of the stuff from your thing.
Well, I think it does say that with these that you do pick like what your origin was.
Well, they don't say like your in quotation race that you start with at all. They don't really talk about that. You were just immortal.
That's kind of the way I took it was. That you were like, if you know what you were, it's like, oh well, you're an elf Dampier.
Well, like that's why Lightning was being like, if you want to figure out stat bonuses and some other stuff like that, you could start with that. You could be like, well, this is how you figure out your stat bonuses. You're like a hill dwarf Dampier, so you use the hill dwarf stats.
Well, even with the stat bonuses, I could say that because you're a different creature now, that you could, make that more the generic part.
But it has no stat bonuses, so it's completely generic because they got rid of that, and it's stupid.
I'm just saying that I could see somewhat,
yeah.
But you would still get your, base creatures, your origin races,
physical stats, yeah. You've transformed enough that you don't have the other things, I like the way that would be doing that. Like a Dampier would be your subrace, So, there are ways that I could take this, but again, we're like homebrewing it because it's stupid what they did, to a degree.
Yeah, but again, this is test material.
It's test material. But the thing is, they are saying that that's the way they... I want to really look through the Tasha's Cauldron of everything, customizing racial traits now, and see how they did it there. Because that's where they say they originally came up with some of this way of customization. Because I haven't looked at it, honestly speaking, and it makes me curious. There's customizing your origin, page 7. I'll look through this at some point in time and just like give my talk about it, I think for I like it. They're like, for example, if you're dwarf, your constitution creates because dwarf heroes in D&D are often exceptionally tough. And then it's like, it doesn't apply to all the dwarfs. Okay. So all the dwarfs are exactly the same as humans normally. And all the elves are exactly the same as humans. And all the Dragonborn are exactly the same as humans. And all this. I think this is another problem that can come out of the fact that, like, this is still something I like about Pathfinder. If I make an NPC, I make it under the same exact rules as a PC. In 5th edition, they're just like, here's a monster stats as an NPC. It's the same monster stats as everything else, but it's an NPC.
Right.
They genericize the enemies. You don't build player characters for people to fight against. You don't have NPC classes. And I think that's where this problem comes in, this idea of it then comes in, because it's then it's like, well, for the NPCs, you can have whatever the frick stats you want. But now we're just genericing the heroes. And I just... We're done. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. I'm getting caught up in it.
We do have other topics we should cover.
We have other topics we can cover. Yeah, it's like there's no commoner stat block in 5e. Why not? Why not? Sentinels of the multiverse. It's a thing we're going to talk about here. It's a...
Hopefully it won't make your head explode anymore.
Probably not. Probably not? There we go. There we go. Sorry. Sorry, dying. It's an anniversary special? Anniversary special, I think. I think it was supposed to be. I have announced. So it's like the 10th anniversary of the game, and they're doing an anniversary version. It's like a comic book based board game. It's Greater Than Games is doing it.
I hate when they do light text on a white background.
Yes. Yes. Oh, sorry. Okay. So yeah, it apparently, like, it was developed around 2010, 2011. It's been 10 years since it came out, and this is technically not the anniversary edition; it's the definitive edition.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the same game as Sentinels, but it's cleaned up, improved, like new art, writing and game designs have been kind of put down to their core elements, rebuilt and cleaner before. So they kind of smooth things out. So it'd be like, it's probably like you would call it like a second edition of a game. You know, it's sort of like, you have to think about like Flux. The original Flux, there's like 5 different editions of it, and like, if we play Flux now, they have creepers in them. Didn't have it in the original one. You know, and the newer editions added stuff and kind of moved things around and changed things. Okay. So it's a new core set. It's got 12 heroes, 6 villains, and 6 environments. Brand new and a bunch of new things. They're also going to do a Kickstarter campaign to launch the new phase of Sentinels.
March 30th.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's going to be for necessarily definitive edition, or if it's going to be for things that are like they're going to put out the definitive edition, and this is stuff that'll be related to it, because they're saying that going to use to launch the new phase of Sentinels. Well, you know, so like the way they say it, it sounds like the definitive edition's coming out on its own, you know. That's what it sounds like. And then they're going to have a Kickstarter of Sentinel stuff for, like, stuff related to that. I'm not 100% sure, because just that's the language they're using in their announcement.
I think they're purposely keeping it vague.
Yes. So, I mean, they'll talk about it more. I don't know if we'll talk about it again. Good on them. Like, a definitive edition's really neat. I like it when they, like, you know, when granted, it always kind of annoys me when there's like a new edition of a game or a redid edition of a game, because I've had the game. But I don't mind if it improves things, you know. And sometimes there's an excuse for one of your friends to get an edition of the game. Because I think our one friend, Cindy, has a really old edition of Flux. We always play with our friend Blaze's edition of Flux, because he's got the newer one. But I'm sure if we got Cindy's, it's the one that doesn't have creepers. You know. There are other games that definitely haven't gotten multiple versions of it, so spiff on that. That doesn't do anything. Things like Settlers, which don't change at all, but things like, you know, Arkham Horror and stuff like that, they've changed over editions and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's a comic booky. I wouldn't call it generic. It's got its own thing of, like, heroes and villains. And they call it the classic comic book card game. So I assume it means it's basically, like, probably, like, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s kind of style. I'm not sure which actually decade style of it's supposed to be. Probably 60s or 70s, I'd assume. Just from the nature of what it looks
Silver
like.
Age.
Silver Age, because by 80s and 90s, we got that gritty stuff, which is not always looked at well, and the only good things to come out of it were things like Deadpool and, you know, I think The Punisher.
Darker, grittier Batman.
Yeah, no. No one liked that. And people like Spawn. It's fine. And people like Spawn for a little while and then forgot about it.
I like Spawn. I miss Spawn. Spawn needs to come back.
See, that's why we know we're children. We're teenagers from the 90s. Because we can say stuff like that. It's like, I like Spawn. You can bring him back. I'm like, yeah, we were teenagers.
They just need to bring him back with better CGI.
Yes.
Because the Volta and Hell kind of looked really bad.
The John Leguizamo made a very good clown.
He did do a good job as oh god, the Violator.
Ah, yes, I would not remember that.
I am the Violator.
Isn't he like just called like clown or something when he's in his clown form or something?
Yeah, but he also goes by the Violator
because he transforms a big monster.
Well, he's a demon.
Yeah.
The clown form is just this form he takes.
I remember him, Spawn, and the boss dude, and that's about it. And the boss dude, I can't remember how I pictured him. I can picture Spawn.
Oh, he was like red and on fire and really bad CGI'd.
Well, look, I remember it badly from the bad PS1 Spawn game, which was awful, and I owned it. It was bad.
I remember the movie fondly.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so Sentinels Multiverse Definitive Edition, coming soon. May or may not be coming to Kickstarter. I cannot answer that for sure. Again, just because the language sounds like... The language of WoW they put out their announcement sounds like they're going to put this out and then something else related to it on Kickstarter. I don't know for sure. They might have it on the Kickstarter with some extra stuff that it's sort of be like a new phase of it. That might be it too. One of those. March 30th, we'll find out for sure. Or unless they announce that the game is actually live.
And now to make Lightning happy.
Yes. With Floops. Because we're going to talk about Animal Adventures, Secrets of the
Gullet Cove.
Which is available for pre-order now. Now!
Maybe later.
No. That's a candy. And we're not having candy right now. I technically have some lunch to finish, but I don't know if I will.
Explore a magical campaign setting for your 5th edition or any tabletop RPG with new Animal Adventure sourcebook inside.
Mm-hmm. So it's available for pre-order. Yeah, accept that.
It's a wondrous seaside town to home of brave heroes and dastardly villains.
It's got its rules for creating your own awakened cats and dogs. Probably you could like definitely go to some other similar animals, like foxes. A gazetteer, I never say that word right, packed with information, plot hooks and mysteries, Biffary stuffed with villains, monsters, and potential friends, 5 thrilling adventures, so it's got 5 adventures over town, and the magic items, guildings, etc., etc., etc.
I want to be an awakened monkey of some sort.
They don't have rules for that. You could probably get away with, like, you know, like a little fox, or something like it's related to a feline, like, there's some wildcats that I should know the names of that I'm not remembering right now.
But I want to be Apu from Aladdin.
They probably need to get a different book for that.
Talk.
You probably need to get a different book for that one.
Or a cloaked ape.
Lynx is a little too big.
Actual cloak.
Lynx and Puma are a little big. I'm just going to say that. They're a little large. There are, like a servile. There we go, servile. That's a smaller cat.
They're domestic pets.
Your face is a little too big. That's not even written right. It should be T-O-O, Lightning. It should be T-O-O.
Wait. You're telling someone how to write? That's a problem.
Boom! Grammared! Yo, I grammared you!
Hey, you want to talk about another Grand Prix?
No. I already butchered the word gazetteer. Gazetteer. But like the phrasing, I mean, too big is what you put TO big. That's what you'd be like. It wouldn't be TO big, because then you're going too big, like over too big. I know two is also, but like whatever. Now I'm murdering Joe.
I'm too old for this crap. Literally.
But yeah, so Secrets of the Gullet Cove sourcebook with like rules for awakened animals, all that kind of neat jazz. An area where they might be around. It sounds like it's like a territory, like an adventure that could deal with awakened animals, you know, which I actually think is kind of neat, because again, like, this is like, certainly I wouldn't mind an adventure like this, because like you get the idea of like something, there's like a lot of like mild anthropomorphized adventures that are in like animation or children's stuff. Things like, when you talk about, like, if I'm talking Disney, which is a very easy one, things like Aristocrats, Lady and the Tramp, Fox and the Hound, those are all there. They're semi-anthropomorphized things. They're like, you know, human intelligent animals in their worlds.
Also just the basic Disney characters like Mickey Mouse.
Well, I think that's much heavier, anthropomorphized. That's like, because those are humanoids. These are talking about, like, they're like an actual cat or an actual dog.
Pluto.
Yeah.
The weird thing with Goofy and Pluto, why are they both dogs, but one's sentient?
Yeah.
One's more sentient.
Yeah. But, like, you know, those movies there, they have these, like, actual animals that are intelligent. That's why I feel like you could have anthropomorphized adventures that would be really interesting to mimic something like that. Or to be like your actual awakened one that can go on adventures. Or, you know, it would be interesting to play. I'm not against it. You know?
Bambi.
Yeah, Bambi. So its launch date is the 22nd of March, so technically 2 months from now-ish. We're 2 days from February, so I mean, like, it's sort of like that. And it's for a pre-order for $40 for 5 adventures, a bestiary, information on this town, some magic items, and the rules for creating those awakened animals. So it looks like a pretty good book for $40, especially if you want to do these kind of adventures. Yeah, it seems neat. Definitely. We're gonna go back to a game we haven't talked about in a while. God. Achtung Cthulhu.
Attention, Cthulhu.
Yeah. Jeez. When was the last time we talked about this one? I think we talked about it before.
Yeah, we talked about last year. I don't remember when.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like, they haven't put out something for this in a while. So it's Modifius, so it's
Cthulhu's.
It's a 2D20 system, of course, like most Modifiuses, you know, if we compare it to, like, Conan, Star Trek, etc., etc., etc. But it's their quick start guide, of course, has come out. And like most of their quick start guides, I believe... Let me see if I can click on it.
It has an adventure of a quick trip to France.
Mm-hmm.
Discover the evil lurking in Saint Sulac.
They have a new Achtung Cthulhu page for it, so that's neat. I think it's what they're doing is they're talking about they're doing a lot more stuff with the product. And what I'm thinking about it is, because I'm comparing it here, is it looks as though there was an original Achtung Cthulhu, and now they're doing a 2D20 version of it. Because I think I remember when we tried back in the day, a year and a month ago, when we tried to talk to Modifius for a little bit, I think they were saying something about, like, some of their products that were not as under their purview, they were more publishing. And I think that was originally more like what it was, and now they're bringing it under their purview a lot more with a 2D20 version of it. Because I don't...
It looks like they're going to be coming out with a player's guide soon, too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the original version was. So again, if you're not familiar with it, it's like it's supposed to be very like a World War II secret war, where a bunch of Nazis are trying to summon like Cthulhu or use Cthulhuian artifacts, etc., and the Allies are trying to fight them and defeat their god monsters. So it's basically like,
oh no, they summoned Hellboy.
Indiana Jones with Cthulhu, and actual like dark magic, even though there's technically a little bit of it.
It's kind of Hellboyish.
Kind of Hellboyish, yeah. So they have a free 48-page Kickstart, which I don't know. I haven't been able to click on it to get it out yet, so I don't know if it's technically...
It's still coming soon.
Yeah. So this, again, it's the 2D20 version of the game, if you're familiar with the game from before. The Quick Start will have an intro, the basic rules, an adventure, some pre-made characters, the normal sort of thing you get in a Quick Start. For 48 pages, not bad. I mean, like, you know, it's what you can do to try it out.
Yeah, and then they're going to come out with the player's guide, because this is considered the preview issue, and then issue number 1 will be the player's guide, where they'll have complete rules for playing Achtung Cthulhu, using custom version of the cinematic 2D20 system to create thrilling scenes, awesome adventures, and epic campaign. They'll have a complete step-by-step guide, building your secret war operative, which mixes archetype, background, and characteristic to create a truly unique agent.
Huh. Modiphius has a YouTube page. That's probably something to keep track of. Probably, but I'm not gonna. Lysical. I'm unfamiliar, because I remember we've talked about it, but, like, I know it was one of those ones that seemed interesting, and we really didn't get a chance to test it out. Was there a Quick Start from before?
I do.
Because there's a lot of... So, okay, so it's the Savage World system, I think it's, because it's Achtung Cthulhu started life as a role-playing setting for the Call of Cthulhu and Savage World games. First launched a few standalone adventures before running a massive Kickstarter, which funded 11 books and a range of accessories and lines of miniatures. That's all they say about it here. There could be an old Quick Start, but honestly speaking, I'm unsure, because they've got 5 pages worth of materials. And it's been out for who knows how long. A lot of the miniatures.
I'm not sure when this is going to be available, though.
Yeah.
Doesn't say. Just is coming soon.
Yeah. No, I don't think I had a Quick Start from before. I don't see it in any of my Quick Start collection. But again, like, I could have missed it. You know.
You can sign up for their information.
They had a free character sheet. And Audio Adventure Episode 1. Huh. Interesting. But no, yeah. The Skirmish Core rulebook. Yeah. So yeah, no, they had stuff for it. It's neat. It's interesting. It's cool that they're doing a 2D20 version of it, so, like... Nazis and Cthulhu. What more can you ask for?
Not Cthulhu.
I say that, and I like, think that, I'm like, that sounds like an awful statement. I mean...
Nazi Cthulhu never died in my world.
I hope not. Wait, no, what? That just breaks me.
Apparently, it's like, I hope not. Wait. No, I wish it did die. What?
Doesn't even exist. No. God.
Cthulhu Hitler. Coming to it.
Why would they merge?
Coming to a dimension near you.
Yes, they merge together. We must exterminate the, I don't know enough Cthulhuian monsters to, like, you know, have Cthulhu be, like, extremely racist or, you know, murdering against another group of Cthulhuian elder god monsters. All the humans,
All
safe
the
will be patched for the greater good of the Cthulhu. Hailing the Cthulhu.
Don't make me bring out Zombie Chibi Cthulhu.
Too bad.
Okay.
He's in a bag, so he's stuck forever.
He has wings.
This is an accuracy. He's still trapped forever.
He also has a brain on his belly. I don't want to.
I really need to
get messed up, so I keep him in his little bag.
I really need to.
Plus, you don't want to release Cthulhu into the world.
You say that, and it makes me want to release Cthulhu into the world.
Well, now I wonder about a few days.
Uh-huh. Anyway.
Maybe some days with trains.
Or some tickets that are riding.
Oh. In Europe?
In Europe? Frick, it's 15 years old. This is the version of Ticket to Ride I got first. Ticket to Ride Europe, which... I think it's downstairs with my games that are downstairs. I only keep my games that I don't normally play a lot up here, which I should just move all my games up here, because I don't travel anywhere to play games with people. Ever.
Well, we used to.
Yeah.
Then the plague happened. Although I like some of these new pieces.
Yes. Again, it's an anniversary edition, so it looks really nice. The little, tins, the look of the trains now.
Yeah, train. You actually have some that are hauling wood, some that are hauling cable, oil tankers, some that are hauling cars.
Yes, and they're all named after European train lines. There's there's the Russian one with cables. There's the Royal Duval. Everything looks so nice,
Yeah, and the train stations look really cool too.
Yes. Oh, they updated everything, so it looks really nice for the 15th anniversary.
Cards look really crisp too.
Yeah. They got really nice new art that's really detailed on them. I mean, I just look at this and I'm like, ooh, it looks so nice.
Ooh, even the player markers.
Yeah. They're all the different symbols, yeah.
Yeah, each has the symbol of the line that they're named after.
Yeah. So I think one's a mail line, oil, automobile, cable, and wood that are transporting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks to be a slightly larger board, too, from the looks of it.
One giant board map of European train routes with all new illustrations.
That map looks so nice,
10 boxes, each with 45 finely sculptured wagon cars, 15 colored train stations, 5 sourcing markers,
Scoring.
Scoring, yeah.
Fine. 1
rule book, 110 train cards, all 108 destination ticket cards published to date. So it has every any of the expansion stuff combined into it too.
Yep.
1 European Express bonus card and 1 Big Cities reference card.
Yeah. Part of me kind of wants this because it's I like my Ticket to Ride Europe, but this is so.
I don't actually have the Europe one, so I might eventually try to get this one because this is really cool.
It's so nice looking. I'm sure it's going to be more expensive than the original, so it's probably going to be with pieces like this, I'd assume $50 or $60. Gonna be honest, at least, maybe even
be coming out.
They announced
spring 2021.
Yeah, they're saying spring 2021. I'm assuming around
retail price $100.
Oh, they are full colored trains, each individual. Doesn't it feel expensive now that I think about it? Oh my god, with the pieces and the map size, everything seems so
yeah.
It is too rich.
Scooby Lightning there.
Rich, yes, too rich.
Rich.
It does feel that way. It does feel very rich, but I mean, it is
for what you're getting.
It's the
detail.
It's the same game to the extreme, and so much nicer looking. That's the thing is and
anniversary editions always cost more, and it's already normally isn't normally like a $50 game.
I think it might be like a $50 game. You're right.
So that's not too much off the mark, really. Yeah, normally it's like between 40 to 50.
Just trying to find like prices of stuff. It's not always
Target $43.99.
well,
Amazon $39.97.
So yeah, it'll probably be around like
$40 to $50.
$40 to $50, depending on where you got it from. Yeah.
Kohl's $54.99. Ooh, don't buy it at Kohl's.
I'd say probably the standard price at most stores would be either 45 or 50 then. Yeah. I don't normally do 45, so I'd say probably 50 would be standard. Because Amazon, you're going to probably get it cheaper from like wherever you're getting it from, because they depends on where they're getting it from. And so some of the other places were like more like 45. That's the discount kind of thing for like chain places, which unfortunately they can have.
That's not really asking too much more for what you're getting.
Yeah, about double the price for an anniversary like premium edition of it. You know.
Yeah, and you're getting a map that's larger too.
Mm-hmm. Again, like
everything in tins.
I like Ticket to Ride Europe a lot. That's kind of why, like, most of the time I kind of scoff these things because it's not my thing. But like, I like Ticket to Ride Europe, and that's why it's got my attention. Actually, you bastards, you're giving me a game I like. Yeah, that's expensive. I don't know. It's still, I have some time to think about it. I've got to get that monitor too. Still, I got to order a new monitor. I keep putting it off. Might all do that this afternoon.
And supersizes the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ticket to Ride Europe.
And the fact that also you're getting the expansion cards in it. You got to remember that too.
Yes, you're getting some of the expansion stuff, which is nice too.
So that makes a difference.
Ugh. Click, clack, snap, back. Getting some...
I do have a Kickstarter.
Go ahead. I didn't look one up then.
I found one that I found acceptable that wasn't questionable.
Yeah, when you were looking through those questionable ones, I kind of was like, questionable. That sounds great.
Cryptid Cafe. You're cryptid animals that own a cafe.
Yes.
Gather food and fulfill orders to earn tips and be crowned, dare we say, the most legendary server. They are fully funded. They were fully funded in 30 hours. They're at $22,232 out of their original $15,470 goal, and they have 25 days still to go. And they have 584 backers. It is a 1 to 4 player game. And let's see. For a pledge of $29 or more, you can get a retail edition. Oh, that's retail edition. Oh, no, that's regular. Yeah, the retail editions are regular one, because then 39 or more is the deluxe edition. So it's actually decently priced. Let's see, 1 to 4 players, 13 plus, about 45 minutes. And it looks like it's kind of like a resource game in a way. Players share tips with the chef to change the order of the servers. With the server order set, the Kraken chef gives players food based on their server's position in line. So you're trying to feed people that are... Oh, I think cryptids are coming into your cafe. Which is even creepier if you think about it. Hey, look, we got the Jersey Devil here.
He wants to get some fresh food.
Too fresh, unfortunately. Oh god, the servers are all Sasquatches. And your chef is a Kraken, so...
Yep, that seems right. I mean, you got a wizard Kraken in your team.
Well, I mean, you got a Kraken chef. He has 8 arms. That means he can do a lot of work at once.
Mm-mm.
There's your Kickstarter for the day.
There's our Kickstarter for the day. It's a good one. It's an interesting one. Unique and silly. Shall we talk about our week in tabletop? Yeah.
Sure.
Let's see here. I don't think I had Records of Evil this week. Did I have Legacies of Kain? I don't think I had either of them, honestly speaking.
No, I think they both got canceled. But we did do some character creation for some games.
We did, and I also did do Pathfinder 2nd Edition. We got, we began exploring a new area, and that was fun. You know, I think we were kind of getting a little better development on our team for chatting and stuff, which I like, which is nice. So we're kind of like developing a group a little better. We did have Carrying Crown. We had character creation for a Star Trek game in the future.
That will be streamed in the future.
Yes. I didn't finish my character. I came up with some basic concepts, though. So I think I know what Mads did, but I don't know which one I'm going to go for then.
I don't know what Mads did, so...
She might be going security medical, or medical security, I should say. Punch security. Punch medical.
Punch medical.
I could do that, too, and we could have both punch medicals, but I don't know.
I'm a Benzite science officer.
Yes,
a touch of engineering.
Mm-hmm. Pouch. Then I did have Carrying Crown, in which in Carrying Crown, they began the new adventure. They avoided a horrible tower with weird singing in it, and then got to the location that they're going to, and are being led along a werewolf hunt by an idiot. Yep.
As long as it's not a snipe hunt.
It kind of is, but that's besides the point. And yes, you're just being a floof, Lightning. That's true. It's what you do. It's
we also...
what you do. Then, we did do some 5th edition character creation for a 5th edition game that we're probably going to be doing off-stream this afternoon. That'll be fun.
Yes.
I finally made my character last night, so I'm all half-elfy and rougey.
I'm orky.
Mm-hmm.
Half orky. And barbarous.
It'll be ever so wonderful.
Can I smash you?
No.
Why?
Because it would be rude. Now come now. We must adventure together. It'll be wonderful. Allow me to teach you things using words, not fists.
I don't use fists. I use hammer. It's hammer.
I regret everything.
It's hammer time.
And of course, we did have Children of Wrath, in which you continue to explore your mansion, and it got worse.
Oh god! And they two of our characters met a creepy old witch person.
Yes.
In the middle of our hedge maze.
Yes.
And Carrie now speaks to animals.
Yes, for a period of time. Wow.
And we finally talked to our bird and found it's alive.
Well, it's technically telepathic, too.
Yes. But we know it's alive, though. And we completely forgot it was supposed to help us learn our powers.
It got stuck in the bag of holding when you put it in there.
Like, oh, wait, you know more about our powers?
Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we kept going in and out of there. Couldn't you have gotten out? And it's like, well, no, stuff was stuck. And until you actually wanted me, I didn't show up again. You guys put it in there so early on. Just like quickly in the bag.
I don't know
why. It was hilarious and wonderful. So yeah, that'll be a
I'm
good
surprised it suffocate to death.
I think it's technically made of flowstone and therefore doesn't need to breathe.
Oh, thank God.
I think the idea is that it's like actually like a construct bird, technically.
Thank God.
Uh-huh.
Because that would have totally sucked. Like, I'm supposed to teach you your powers, but now I'm dead.
Uh-huh. I died horribly because you put me in a bag and let me suffocate.
It must not need to eat or breathe because also it didn't eat or drink during that entire time.
Uh-huh. You guys are awful pet owners.
Well, Carrie takes care of her lizard puppy.
Does she? She forgot where it was.
Well, it could have got up and moved.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's somewhere in the house, for sure.
Suspecting look. Suspecting look.
I didn't eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you suspecting looking at?
Suspecting look. Suspecting look. It doesn't quite work when I go off screen.
I'm great. I'm great. Stream needs seen it?
No, she wouldn't. She'd keep it as a pet. And we'd never see it again. Yes. But we go to our final segment. If you have a question for us, consult the table. Discord, our Twitters, at TeacherCover for me, at JWSecret81 there. The Discord's probably the easiest way to reach it. In Twitch chat here, comments of the YouTube on YouTube and stuff. Hey, Ling isn't in that game to flirt with Radiant. I mean, it's true. Ling isn't in that game to flirt with Radiant. This is an accuracy.
Here's my question of the day.
Mm-hmm.
How much can a bag of devouring devour?
Infinite, because it technically, I guess the words would be shats it out into the ethereal plane somewhere.
How much can the ethereal plane hold?
Approximately one material plane's worth of material.
So if we fed the whole material plane into a bag of devouring,
I mean, it doesn't quite work like that, but similar enough. Close enough. Close enough.
What would happen?
You'd implode. Sorry.
Sweet.
You've already imploded.
I've survived that before. I just become a staff of fireball.
If I could remember the word from it, it's the whatever that line is from Fist of the North Star, where he like does this, and then he like turns around and says like, "You're already dead," and they explode. You know, that's what it would be. Anyway, that was loud. You're welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you for the stupidity and wonderfulness, both at the same time sometimes. You could, of course, see me and Joe and more stuff on this channel. Definitely Speaking Thursday, Children of Wrath, 8 p.m. EST. Records of Evil, 1 p.m. EST on Mondays. That's Thursdays for Children of Wrath. 2 on the afternoon for Legacies of Kain. I'll probably do some more Stardew, some more Jedi Fallen Order, Vampire the Masquerade. Those are the 3 games I'm doing. I definitely at some point in time get back to Parasite Eve to do the little bits of stuff I was going to do for that game. Other stream stuff. I mean, this show every Saturday 2 p.m. And I will be starting a Pathfinder First Edition game at some point. I don't know the exact time for it yet, but I have to find at least 1 or 2 more people. So I'm looking as much as I should. which lightning keeps bothering me about. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, you're the same, poking me about doing stuff. I think that sounds good for now. I think we'll go. So thanks everyone for joining us. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and hope a great rest of your weekend. And if you see me doing other stuff, join me for that, or see us doing other stuff, join us for that, etc., etc. But for now, I'm going to pop off and say goodbye, farewell, auf Wiedersehen. Bye-bye, everybody. Farewell.